Hi, welcome to Spiritual Connection. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. So I'm a transformation coach, I'm a spiritual energy healer, I'm a shamanic practitioner, and I'm now the spiritual head of the Transformation Center CT, which is based in Westport, Connecticut. We recently opened, and it's a center where you can come and take trainings, we have workshops, we do a variety of things. And we're also hosting a monthly satsang where you can come and just be with yourself and have some time to meditate. We do some chanting. It's really a magical evening. And everyone is welcome to the center. And we'll put the contact info on the screen so you can contact us if you'd like to. The Spiritual Connection show is all about connecting with each other, as well as allowing us to connect more fully with our own spiritual natures. So we have guests every week, a different guest, and by hearing about their spiritual journey and also what they have to offer you, you can learn more about yourself, connect with them, and really help yourself on your spiritual journey. So we're glad you've joined us tonight. Welcome to the show. My guest tonight is Arantxa Mateo. Welcome to the show, Arantxa. Happy that you're here. Yeah.
Very pleased.
So I'm just going to read a little bit about you for the audience since they don't know you, okay? And I'm learning something too.
Okay.
So Arantxa is a trained biologist and weight management specialist. She is the founder of 32 Mondays weight management program, which we're going to find out a little bit more about. But basically, it's really not a diet, but rather a transformation program that teaches people how to manage weight for the rest of their lives. Yeah, I can't wait to hear all about that. And Arantxa is also the author of a new book by the same name, and it's called 32 Mondays, and she's going to talk a little bit about that later, but here's what the book looks like. I'm really excited to read it. It just came out. It's brand new. So also I want you to know that Arantxa was born and raised in Barcelona, Spain. And how long have you been in the U.S.? I forget.
This is going to be my 11th year.
11th year. Yeah. Okay, cool. So she is fluent in both English and Spanish, which is great because I'm sure you have clients who are Spanish is their first language.
Yeah, I do.
So awesome.
Yeah, I have, from
cool.
everywhere. In fact.
All over the world. All right. Wonderful. So before we find out more about you and what you do, can you tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey, like how you got to where you are? Anything you want to share?
Okay. So it's very interesting that you asked me. I think everything started when I was very young. I had a very, I would say, special childhood, and probably also my teenage years weren't very normal. But I can't say a specific date because I had a brain aneurysm when I was living in Australia. And it was really bad. And I was really close to die.
A brain aneurysm.
Yeah.
Wow.
And those things that you read about it, but you never know if they're true because who can explain to you, right? If they haven't been there. I was in that white tunnel that they tell you that when you're very close to die, and I was there having the choice whether I wanted to keep going or just say, okay, that's enough for me. I don't want to go ahead with my life. It was sort of a choice, and I decided to stay.
Wow.
So that was really an awakening, and after that I just saw things in a different way. I just started to develop all these personal growth, working a little bit more about who I was, what was my place in the world, why I was here. So things that I had never thought about it that deeply. So that was when I was 29, also in my 30s. And I will say that on my 30s, from the 30s to the 40s, it was my personal growth. It was developing myself. It was understanding who I was. It was working on myself Then I had my kids, my two daughters, and it was about growing with them and helping them, develop. From my 40s to my 50s, I would say it was more my creativity, I have to, develop all these things I have inside, and that's when I developed 32 Mondays. All the things I had, all the things I had learned, all the things I knew I can help, were developed during that stage. And now I'm very close to my 50s, and it's my new stage when, I have fully developed myself internally and my creativity. I have created my program, and I feel now that I'm so ready to give and to help and to share, and that's my place. That's what I have to be here. I think that everybody needs to be here for a reason, and we have to find why, and I think that's the time for me to do what I have to do. So I'm doing that not only with my students. I don't call them clients. They are my students, with my family, with my friends, with my daughters, and it's been a moment really special. It's like everything put it together, and wow, every day is special for me. Every day is keep growing and keep finding how to put all the puzzle, all the pieces together. So it's very exciting.
So that's
here's
awesome.
where I am now.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because I met you, about 5 years ago?
Yeah, 5, almost 6, yeah.
Yeah, and really, I don't think you'd started this particular aspect of what you're doing.
No, it was more. I was still in that creation part of developing the whole 32 Monday program. When I met you, I had just developed the program, and I was sort of testing it and working with groups and working with one-on-ones and working. I developed the online program, the whole program. So it was more the mechanical, the more the practical thing about the program. So I'm just getting into putting all together. I think now, the last, I would say year or months, even months.
So it's all coming together.
Yeah, it's coming together right now.
So what inspired you to start such a thing to begin with? What led you to this field? Because you're a trained biologist.
Yeah, I'm a trained biologist. So I was overweight when I was a kid.
You were overweight?
Overweight, yeah. And that was very hard for me. And it was a mix of things. So as you said, I'm from Spain, and you should think that because I was in a Mediterranean diet, we shouldn't be overweight, but it's a mix of, there had been a civil war in Spain, so my parents were growing up in that after-war era when there wasn't enough food. So food was a little bit of an obsession in many families.
I see.
So they were trained to overfeed, not overfeed the kids, but like a lot of obsession about, okay, you have to finish your plate, sort of, if we have food now, it's because you have to eat it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Also, there was a dictatorship. So that was when I grew, after the Civil War, there was a dictator, and when I grew up, there was still a dictatorship. And the families, they didn't have that much around to have fun or to enjoy. So food was a way of sharing love and to be together. So it was a very important part of their life, and especially in my family. So that together, it was like a starting point. And then my parents got divorced when I was only 6 years old, which was probably one of the first couples in Spain that got divorced. So I learned very early, how to use food to just hide my feelings, and how it was so easy just to go to the fridge and get the ice cream and not feel sad or feel alone because my parents weren't there. So altogether made that I was overweight when I was a kid, and it was very hard for me until I was in my teenage years. Those were the worst, of course, when you're a teenager. But then when I was at high school, I started to learn about nutrition, about calories, and all that. oh, I thought there is another way. I mean, there is a way that I can be the one deciding how to eat, when to eat, and I can decide what's going to happen. So I started to apply my own knowledge and to learn more and more about how to eat and how to exercise and how to, manage everything.
Yeah. Take care of yourself.
Yeah. So I started to lose weight, and so when I lost weight, I said, I will never, ever be overweight again. Never, said. And that was when I decided to study biology, because I knew that being who I was, I had to understand the reasons behind what I was doing. So it wasn't about calories. I knew it was something else. So I studied biology with the focus on understanding metabolism. Why are the reasons? What's happening there? And that was when I decided that was going to be something for me for life. But at that time, it wasn't that normal, like studying nutrition or having all these diets. So for me, it was like my own thing, my particular thing, and I kept doing other things as a biologist. But it was my thing, and it was also, I think it's very linked to my spiritual development. When I was in my 30s, I was still very deep into the anxiety of not gaining weight, always being scared of what to eat. So it was a lot of pressure on me. So at the same time that I was developing or growing myself, I was also, putting into shape my ideas about nutrition and how to eat and weight management. But at some point it was very bad. I was smoking because I knew that smoking will help me to not gain weight. I didn't want to quit smoking because I was very scared to gain weight. I didn't want to have kids because I didn't want to gain weight.
So it became
really bad.
It sounds like it became a little bit of an obsession.
Yeah, it was an obsession. It was, but something that I will have never admitted, never. And that's something that I haven't been able to talk about until now. So that's why, the whole, and that's why I understand a lot many people, because I have been there and I know that behind everything there is a lot.
Right. As soon as you dig a little deeper, you get to know.
There are many things and many things that we don't know and that we can't judge, and that, that they are there.
Yeah.
But that was, a little bit how I was just growing all the process. And so when we moved to the U.S. and I had quit my job in Spain to come here, it was sort of my opportunity to say, okay, now what? And I knew that was the time for me to develop all the things that I had been working, on the side, but always very important for me. So I came here, and especially here in the U.S., I started to see, I would go to a bookstore and see how many books are about diets, how many fad diets, how many famous people saying the last thing, and how many people just buying them and getting confused. And I would go to the grocery store and say, okay, I understand why, why it's difficult to lose weight, or why it's difficult not to gain weight here, because you have so many food, and this is so confusing. And then it was the Google era, and you could Google and find out information and say, this is crazy. There is something I can do, and there is something I can develop to help people. So that's when I decided to develop the program, and it took me a long time. I mean, I did a lot of research, and of course my background is as a scientist. So I really needed to make sure that what I was doing was the right thing, and that it wasn't just another program, but it was.
I remember you did a lot of research.
So
it's research-based.
And not only about weight management, but also about education, because I knew that if you don't understand what's behind what people are telling you, it's very difficult to keep it and to apply it. But when you really understand the reasons behind, it's much easier. So I thought, we have to put this in a way that it's so easy to understand for anybody.
So you took the time to explain it in such a way that, yes, it's research-based, yes, it's scientific, but it's easy for me to understand.
Because if you're reading my book or you're reading my program, you're following my online program, it means that you are not an expert. You have your life, you have your things to do.
Right.
You can spend that time, the time I have is spent just understanding things or applying things or discovering what's important or not.
Yeah,
You have
right.
other things to do. You have to have it very easy, so you don't have to make that effort. So you use your effort into applying what I'm telling you to do. And that had to be, developed in a way that it was very practical, very easy, very, just very easy to follow and to apply and to keep for life. That's my thing. You have to keep it forever, because if not, it's just another quick diet that it won't work. So it's a change of life, it's a change of philosophy, it's a change of everything, how you see food, how you feel food, how you interact with that food, with exercise, with your emotions, your hormones, everything, it's there.
Do you find that when you talk to your students, not your clients, that you also serve the purpose sort of a therapist? I mean, is that?
Yeah. So until now, it was more given the program, and I was sort of focused on, follow my program because my program works. So if you do the program, you're going to be okay. But recently, with this new awakening that is happening in me, I'm just discovering that there is so much more that I can give and help. Not everybody, and I don't have this connection to everybody, of course. And I don't take many students like one-on-one. So because I have the program online, they can work on their own. They can work from anywhere in the world. But with the people that I'm working more closely, I realize that this interaction is essential for them. That because this interaction, they can grow much more with my program, and they can apply the program in a deeper way, I will say, because they understand more.
Right, and it seems to me that even though the program is accessible to everyone, it's online, anybody can do it. Like you said, if you follow it, it's going to work. But not everybody comes to it ready.
Exactly.
So I think, like you were saying, there's some issues that we all bring to it. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have unhealthy habits. We wouldn't have a not good relationship with food. There's a lot of underlying things.
There is a lot, and that's a big difference. So this program is not a program for anybody that has any eating disorders or they're where they are because they have an emotional problem or anxiety. For that, there are not other programs much more specific. This is for the normal people that just want to understand the basics or the most important parts of being healthy and eating the right things. So in that sense, it covers what it has to cover. But and that's the people that they can do the program on their own. But there are many other people that they're looking for something else. And that's especially for women in these after the 50 years, when you have this, reconnecting with yourself and finding now who I am now, that my kids are growing up, that, I have to rediscover myself. So those women, they have tried many things, they have tried many programs, and they feel that they need something else. And that's the people that I connect still more. But not only this type of people. I mean, I also connect a lot with like teenagers that are having some issues, maybe at home, and so they need something outside to help them. Their focus, what they want to do, is learn how to eat well and how to make sure that, for example, when they go to college, they make the right choices because they don't want to get overweight when they are there, and they want to understand how to do it. But sometimes behind there are other things, and it's good to have somebody to work. So
other than their parents,
Exactly.
generally, right?
Exactly.
Because teenagers sometimes don't want to hear what their parents have to say.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm finding that it's like a double connection, I will say. One thing is the program is very specific, it's very clear. I have done all the research. What you need to know is there. And then the other part is what I'm discovering and developing now to say, okay, there is more I can help you because I have been there, I have been my process. And if you want something else through this program, I'm here too.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, just by sharing yourself and being who you are, it adds a whole nother layer that most people don't have available to them.
I think it's very interesting that, for example, as I said before, this me being able to share that I wouldn't want to quit the smoking because I was scared of gaining weight, or I didn't want to have kids because I was scared. That, when I said that, people are like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And it feels so good for me when I started to be able to say it.
To admit that.
To say it in public. Like,
well, first you have to be aware of it, so it's self-awareness, right? Yeah. And then to show your vulnerability.
Yeah. Exactly. And to say, you are not different.
You're not perfect.
You are another person, like the same I am. But people get really, interested when they hear that I was overweight. It's like, Arantxa, I don't believe you. Were you overweight? Yes, I promise you I was overweight. And then when I say that, they are, wow. And then the other aspect that now I'm developing now is the menopause. I was so scared about menopause. When I thought that I was done with that, I was able to quit the smoking, I was able to have kids, then my third thing was about menopause. I was so scared that, okay, I have been able to go through all this, but I will never be able to go through menopause. And that's what I'm working now, and it's like, yes, I can do that too. And I can share it, and I can talk it. And so it makes me feel so good that, especially with, I work also with men, but especially with women, I feel so connected and so close. And when they hear me, they feel like relief and say, okay, so I can do this. So those are the women that I can offer. It's not only a program for them, it's a lot more.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. It's really that connection, that shared experience, if you will.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's
helping
all about.
People to understand that, there are many other people like them, and struggling with management and being scared of gaining weight and with all the other things, which are really connected most of the time.
Right, like what's underneath. And
exactly.
So you're really doing a great service for people. That's awesome. So tell us about the 32 Mondays, the name of your program and the name of your book.
The name, okay. So the program is structured. It's very structured because one of the things I learned is that when you're trying to make anything in your life, anything you want to do in your life, when you're trying to make one change at a time, when you do it only one, you have like around 80% probability of being successful. But when you try to change two things at the same time, it goes low, like at around 40. If you try to change three things at the same time, it's only about 20% the probability of being successful.
Wow.
So I learned that, and I said, well, that gives a lot of explanation. On top of diets don't work because of the yo-yo dieting and all that, it gives another explanation on why diets don't work. Because when you go on a diet, you just go restricted, and they are trying to lose weight using willpower, which is also a very interesting topic that we can talk about it if you want. They put so many things at the same time that it's nearly impossible to be successful with all of them. So I say, okay, my program needs to be very structured and needs to be one step at a time, so we don't make that mistake. So we focus on one thing, and when this thing is accomplished, and it's becoming a habit now, because that's the objective. The objective is that whatever you are doing, you accomplish to do it as a habit, then you don't think about it, then you can forget about it because it's happening on its own, then you focus on the next step.
I see.
So that was the idea of how to develop the program. So I had to be put in, and I just throw away all the things that are not important. So I didn't want people to spend the time, the effort, the energy into things that it's not that important. So I decided which are the things that are really, really important and need to be in the program, and there were 12 things. So I put them in order. So there are 12 steps, and every step you can go into the next one until you have accomplished the previous one. So we can fulfill this, not doing more than one thing at a time.
Right.
And also we have to wait until it's a habit, which takes around 21 days for something that you're doing to become a habit. It takes around 21 days. So for every step, I say, okay, what's the average time that I think it should take for somebody to understand what I'm saying, to start applying it, and to make it in a way that they don't have to think about it. And it will depend on things like more simple, it will be maybe only 1 week, but something more like, portion sizes that, not everybody knows about the portion sizes.
Right.
So
32, is that how long it takes?
Adding all the weeks together, it was 32 weeks as an average.
I see.
But then I was Googling 32 weeks, and it was everything about pregnant women. I said, okay, that's not going to work. So then I changed it to 32 Mondays because, Monday is the day that we wake up and we decide, today, this week is the week. Today I'm going to be good. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to, So that's the name, 32 Mondays.
So 32 Mondays. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So because it's a good metaphor too for what's happening and what you can accomplish in that short time.
Everything
awesome.
has a meaning, I would say, in the whole program, the whole everything, the title, everything.
Well, I can't wait to read the book.
I think it's very interesting. Everybody, even the people that don't need to lose weight, but weight management is much more than just lose weight.
Right.
And some people are just very inspired.
We're going to have to wrap up.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for being on the show, Arantxa. It was really a pleasure having you here. And people can visit your website and check out your book. And thanks again.
Thank you so much.
And thanks to our audience for joining us tonight on Spiritual Connection. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn, signing off. Thanks for being here. Good night and blessings.